Holy cow, fellas, it is raining cats and dogs. So, another vlog 7, Simplicity Sunstar. We're going to be doing the PTO. It's Bachman PTO Overdrive. I don't even know where that came from. Anyway, it's like part 7, but this is simple. It's quick, and for those of you that want to know like how to adjust, it's the same thing for any PTO. Remember, a whole bunch of episodes back, I was troubleshooting the PTO, and we figured out what was going on, and I had to rewire everything. Well, and I cleaned up a whole bunch of stuff in a couple of episodes, and I cleaned everything, and then we'll paint it, make it nice, and that whole area is going to be done. We're going to adjust it to. I think the book says between 15 and 20. Anyway, I'll mention it in there in the video. So we'll go through all of that, get that done, get those belts on, and move forward. Now, after that, there's some fun stuff coming up, some stuff that I know a couple of you guys have been waiting for. Let's get started on the video. All right, fellas, before we get this thing off the table, I had mentioned earlier that we got to go over the settings and adjustments of our wonderful clutch mechanism. And the book says we need 15 to 20 thousandths, like I was saying. So, no, you can't see me. So, I ordered belts from D&D, which they're pretty good. I like the D&D. Here, let me show you, all right? But they haven't come in yet, and I probably won't see him to the end of the week, because he's busy and so am I. So while he was running around, he was here this past weekend, he dropped these off. He got at the local hardware store. So let's try this, a 1/2 by 35. I think that's the same size as this, right? I said, can you match them up? So I think that's what they are, right? All right, so this is one of the original belts. So let's try it. But before we do, and I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer in a bit here. Let me turn the light on. Here's our spacer. We do have some grease on there. It is no C's. You want something thick. You don't want it flying off. Here's your 2 surfaces. Remember, this moves. This thing moves in and out. As you can see, right, we're moving. Turn the ignition on. See? Now it's got sucked in. All right. The stop is this. This bushing, which is pressed into the bearing, the center hole of the bearing, and it's set. Okay, and it's roughly flush. I think it's in just a scotch. That is causing this assembly to stop against this land here, which is a step on the receiving end. And these are 2 friction plates. Effectively, it's a clutch. And this is sprung load. See the springs? And so there is about an 1/8 of an inch of space in its normal position. This is actually a little bit too thick, but what did I put together? I put a 0.35 and an 0.32 together, so about 62 thousandths, right? So we're about an 1/8 of an inch. So there's an 1/8 of an inch of space. And you need that because they want between 15 thousandths, that's 0.015 and 0.020. So they want between 15 and 20 in between here for freewheeling, right? So that when you turn the electric clutch off, remember there's a magnet in here, electromagnet, it sucks this piece in. This remains fixed, but this moves. The 2 friction plates come together and you transfer power, PTO, you power takeoff. You transfer power down here, right, to your servo and out to the shaft through the pulley. So before we put this pulleys on, the belts on the pulleys, we need to make sure this is all okay. Now I checked this on my drill press table for flat. It's flat. It doesn't need to be bent. It's not bent. So this is going to go over here and it's going to lay on that, and you want to set it up. I don't want to be in your way, but you want to set it up so that it just tugs on that friction plate, that sprung plate, to pull in the clearance within our 15 to 20 thousandths. And these are the ports here. These are your access ports to stick your feeler gauge in. Now here's your springs. It's got locking nuts, which I think we need to. They're crushed nuts, so I think we need to. I think it goes this way. So I think we need to go back and kind of like crush those nuts down again. Now I did clean the threads. There is a little bit of no-sees on the threads. Let's see how these bolts go. I should say nuts. These crush nuts go. If they feel like they're loose, we'll take them back off one at a time, right? And kind of crush them and run them in again until we're happy. You know, and stuff like this, you're supposed to get new hardware. See, there's a stake there. You can't see it, but I think there's one stake, 2, 3, 4, a couple of stakes on the end. We could restake that. Let's just see how it feels. That's not terrible. Let me see how this one feels. They've only been off once. That one's no good. That one, see how easy that was, how far it went? Now, this one don't feel so bad. We need to find more of a blunt chisel. We'll take this one off, and just on the vise, I'm going to strike it with a light hammer. You know, on an anvil vise. I'll do it out of our view because the camera's over there and I'm not moving it. But there's some strikes on the face. See if you can see it. Pam? And we'll just fix these up a little bit. And then we'll pull them in and get to about, well, let's try 16, 17 thousandths, right? We'll go in the middle. You know, you want a good amount of clearance in case there's a bit of a wobble or the surfaces are not flat anymore from years of use. But you want them equidistant. All right, let me go take care of that. I'll bring it in and I'll get you in for the last step of tweaking it. So you see what I did? And it's not a sharp chisel. Let me show you. Let me just put this on. We'll test it. And we're testing it. I didn't go like Thor's hammer or nothing, so I'm using, you know, a ball peen hammer, or as we used to say, ball S hammer, and just it's not really sharp. It's one of the things that I use from time to time. I got a lot of chisels, but you know, from time to time for like just general, I got a full collection, but it's a nice size. And let's just run it in and see. And I didn't like, you know, go full bang on it. Yeah. Okay? Oh yeah, I can feel it, fellas. All right, let me set all the others up. I'm going to set this thing up. We're going to pull it in and stick my feeler gauge in there at about 16 thousandths or so. I think we'll try 17. And a good tug all the way around. And I'll bring the other camera. Bring it while I'm doing it too. But yeah, see, that one's pretty good. It's this one here that we were also, yeah, this one. It's not terrible, but we'll give this one a check. Now, of course, you could put double nut it if you wanted to. Now we have another problem too. While this nut is off, we got a bit of a problem. I don't know if I mentioned it because this might be a separate episode and some of the others, and if you haven't watched the rest of it. So the engine is supposed to sit on top of rubberized mounts, and it's like mine. It's leaning to the front, so it might actually throw one of these belts like mine did. Because it's leaning to the front, we're having an issue here. All right, this is hitting because it's leaning. So I got to think about where we are in relation to the belts and all. Worst cases, we'll have to take a nut back off because I noticed it hits, and I'm not sure where it's going to wind up, and that adjustment is in our way, and yada yada yada. Because the motor fell forward, and somebody even welded a washer in here. It's mosquito. It fell. It's missing a quarter of an inch or so of rubber. It should be much higher in the front. Not ready to fix that now. I wish I could. Stuff's going to get in the way. All right, so I'm going to struggle a little bit with this. Before I start my adjustments, just want to show you. Now, the one thing I don't like about staking is it messes up the first few threads. It does. It cuts them. I just pulled off some threads. But it will only do it, you know, for a little bit, and then it'll work its way in. Now, that said, you could try to stake them after you've got your adjustment. However, you might bend something, screw it up, or you can also wind up pushing the stud out. I think on here they got a tack or two, weld tack, on this flex plate or this mounting plate. Remember, that's much thinner material, so if you start banging on that, you're going to screw up your adjustments. You could knock it apart. Double nut is the best, but new hardware is even better. All right, now, before I bring it in, I'm doing it by hand, right? You want to do it by hand. I just want to show you. See? So we want to pull it back till this outer ring, this capture cage, engages, right, this section here. And it starts to engage. We have a ways to go. So there's plenty of spring room left and everything. So we're going to keep walking it in a little bit at a time, just kind of observing how far in we are on the stud until we start to get into position. And it's grabbing the threads pretty good. All right, so let me work on that until it starts to capture it. And once it touches, okay, we know we're about 1/8 of an inch or so, a couple few 30 seconds of an inch. Now then we can shove, I guess, like a 17 thousandths, so we'll kind of make it snuggy tight, right? And then we should be good. All right, I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, so these are the ports. Like I said, now I put Loctite front, back, behind, and I wound up having to back out. I think I went in a little too far, and I kind of backed out the nut a little bit. So I think I would say Loctite would be better than crushing these nuts because it is damaging the threads. So down here, right, it feels good, 17 thousandths, and we're probably, maybe 17, 16. You kind of have to go all the way around and feel it and make the adjustments. You come in a little, you come out a little, okay? And then over here. Now what we'll do is I'll put the other camera on. I'll try and hold the camera steady, but good luck, fellas, right? I'm trying. Yeah, see, I'm having a hard time getting this in. There's one little spot. Hold on, let me switch hands. You gotta get, yeah, there it is. See? Just like 2 fingers. So it's a good, 17, something around there. Right? We have room. All right, let's put the other camera on and just pull it in and out. Right now it's caged, okay? It's pulled back. It's caged in there. And what'll happen is as it pulls in, there'll be clearance between these two. So shouldn't be any rubbing. All right, ignition on. Throw the switch. Let's see what it does. Okay, see, it pulled in. Quite a bit too. And now you can also measure in here. But the motor it got the plugs in and everything, so you're not going to be able to. But that looks about right. We'll check it, we'll run it. Now, and I would say, because this is very thin, so you're going to get some movement there as well on this plate. And I would say, rather than ruin these studs, this is I don't know what size it is. I got to guess, but it's fine thread. So 3/8. Maybe get some fresh 3/8, nylock, or double 3/8 nut it, or a 3/8 nylock and put some Loctite on. Clean the threads. I don't like what I did here with stamping that down because it will wear on this. But once you adjust it, it's not going to go anywhere. It should be fine until something fails in here, or for some reason or other this gets all gooled up or something. That could be 10 years down the road, all right? And not a problem. All right, we're out. I'll be back in a minute. All right, so we got this one belt on. I'm going to put the other one on, too. So it just was kind of rubbing here, but with the nut back out of the way, we're okay. Now, just some tips. So I engaged the clutch, right? It's pulled in electrically. I pulled the plugs out. That way, depending on what I'm doing, right, I can rotate the whole thing, all right, with this. And it's magnetic now, so. I also picked this up just recently. We're going to do the tires. But I needed a good pry bar. I have another wrecker bar too that I use sometimes, but I like this because it's got the bend here and it's got this nice little hook here. It's really for the tires, but this is nice. So I've been pulling this back and working the belt in. Keep your fingers out of the way. Now with good leather gloves, if you're strong enough, you can pull this all the way back, okay, and work that belt on. Especially if you have an extra hand or working with all this. Let's put the other belt. Now I didn't show you because I'm going to be in your way. Especially with the first one. But get good leather gloves on, fellas, because this is dangerous. This can smash your hand, and you don't want a bad day. But we should be able to, say, watch. Now, once we get the first one on, again, because it's pulled in and the plugs are out, okay, now, if you notice, right, we want to be careful here. She's going to pull around, and if you want to keep your hands out of the way, apply pressure, right, because it could pop. That's what it wants to do. See it pop. You can apply pressure, and you can also, hey, see what I'm saying? Now that belt, this belt looks like it's a little different size, so you want a matched pair. It is slightly different. And this white chalk, don't worry about that. That's that phosphoric acid. I may not talk about it on this episode, but it's the phosphoric acid with the precipitate that's to protect the metal. But watch, let me pull it. See? So now, this will, well, see how it spins on its own. Put the plugs back. We look like we're okay. It's in decent alignment. It looks pretty good. This all got cleaned, and I put grease on it to protect it. Same thing on the other side, although that's going to get a drive shaft. But I think we're done here. Let me close up a little bit. I want to put the side panels on, do a few other things, and I want to get this thing done tonight so that tomorrow we could move it into the spot in the garage that I made. We're going to take the rims and tires off this vehicle, get it up in the air on jack stands, and then I can start ripping these tires off to redo the rims, and we got those nice tires. Sounds great. It's running good. Next. All right, in the next episode, we're going to be getting to the rims. Finally. We're going to get these things cleaned up and nasty. Wait till you see what's inside. Wait till you see how bad and how nice these things can come out. We're going to work on, at some point, I'm going to show you guys what I do with my new tire changer. I think it's a blast. It's really easy to do. And a lot of people say, no, tire changer. No, stop it. I say, go for it. It's easy. You just got to know how to do it. All right. Everything is easy once you know how. Stay tuned for the next one. Next vlog coming up on Arch's Garage.